in Kuwait, oh yes, that they will have to find an accommodation. What I do not know, all the details are being worked out, but yes, Guyana will have not only its own, others. If not, we will be in a sticky wicket. And with the elections coming, the P.P.P will be smart to know they will do it quietly, and it might not be known on a need-to-know basis, very quietly in the shadow of the night. Watch that. That's how it's going to happen.
Gosh.
Yes, it's going to happen.
Challenging times ahead, and we know it's happening all over.
Migrants deported from the U.S. have landed in Caracas. Their flight here took an unprecedented path for U.S. deportations. Venezuela's state airline picked up the deportees from Honduras after a U.S. government plane transferred them there from Guantanamo Bay, a choreographed operation that Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro says came at the direct request of his government.
A direct petition from the Venezuelan to the U.S.
All right, buckle in. We're about to take off. Make sure that you're subscribed so you could find your way to the correct jet bridge for your connecting flights.
Venezuelan migrants who came to the U.S. are now back in their home country. They were being held at the American Detention Center at Guantanamo Bay in Cuba. Human rights activists say that the migrants were denied access to an attorney, but Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro says that they've been rescued from U.S. custody.
Migrants deported from the U.S. have landed in Caracas. Their flight here took an unprecedented path for U.S. deportations. Venezuela's state airline picked up the deportees from Honduras after a U.S. government plane transferred them there from Guantanamo Bay, a choreographed operation that Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro says came at the direct request of his government.
A direct petition from the Venezuelan to the U.S. government. Rescued from Guantanamo, the base which the U.S. has in Cuban territory. We've rescued 177 of our boys from there.
The transfer is the second U.S. deportation to Venezuela this month. The U.S. says some of the migrants sent back belong to a Venezuelan gang, whose members became the primary target of Trump's immigration raids. Venezuela denies the allegations.
We checked the first group that were said to be from the Tren de Aragua gang. There was no one from it, not one. We'll check each person's legal situation.
After undergoing a health check, those who are not facing other criminal charges in Venezuela will be free to go home.
All right, for more now, I'm joined from the Venezuelan capital, Caracas, by Phil Gunson. He's a senior analyst with the Crisis Group, specializes in Latin America. Phil, it's good to have you with us. It looks like Venezuela and the United States cooperated here. Is that the case? Do we know?
Yes, this stems from a really remarkable meeting that took place just days after Donald Trump was inaugurated between his special envoy and President Maduro, in which Maduro agreed to accept deportees from the United States and handed over some US hostages. And this is a new departure under Donald Trump's first government. Back in 2019, US and Venezuela broke relations. There's no US embassy here. There was a maximum pressure policy against Maduro aimed at ousting him and restoring democracy. But Donald Trump now appears to be taking a much more transactional approach. And as far as we know, despite the rhetoric coming out of Washington, which still says that, Maduro is not a democratic president, for now, at least, Maduro is safe from a rerun of what Donald Trump did in his first term of office.
Yeah, it's interesting how things can change in a short amount of time. We know that the Trump administration says that many of the deported Venezuelans were members of drug cartels. Do we know what happens to these people now?
Well, that's a highly controversial claim. The Venezuelans in the United States, of whom there are hundreds of thousands, many of them under temporary protection because of the conditions in Venezuela. This protection is now being lifted. It's going to be suspended starting in April, unless the courts have something to say about that. And the idea that these people, that the vast majority of Venezuelans are criminals, is completely false. I mean, these are people who are actually legally in the United States under this TPS system. The government here says that none of those who have been sent back so far, although some of them have mostly minor criminal records, none of them belong to the so-called Trinidad, which incidentally is not a drug cartel as such. It's a criminal network that spread out across the region, including to the United States, as the Venezuelan diaspora swelled in recent years.
Greetings and welcome back to the channel. You guys just heard that more than 200 Venezuelans were deported from Venezuela, and even more to be deported. And some of them are even criminals. They weren't just people that just went over there because they were escaping the harsh instability going on in the country. And as you guys know, that Venezuela and Guyana shares a border, making it an easy destination for these deportees to come over to Guyana, and not just Guyana, Trinidad as well, by boat or other CARICOM countries. Authorities in both countries are going to face challenges processing or deporting these individuals from out of the country. These CARICOM countries need to strengthen patrols and monitor key entry points. They also should create transparent rules for who should be accepted into the country or deporting new arrivals. On the topic of accepting deportees into the country, the next video, we're going to hear some key information on how Guyana and or other CARICOM countries may not have a choice if they should accept these deportees or not. It's a particular deal that they already had in place. Now, they should be working with international organizations to provide aid and manage this crisis responsibly. Because you guys know that it's going to get out of hand. And in some places like Guyana, it's already getting out of hand. The government of all these CARICOM countries need to start preparing for increased migration, not just by Venezuelans, by other people. For example, they have a list out there that's specifying the amount of deportees that are coming back to each country. Those are people that was more than likely born in those particular countries, not just random people. So imagine having deportees that belong to that country and other deportees that don't belong there, and then having a large criminal element. This is going to be very, very damning for the Caribbean community. Before we get into the next video, please remember to like and subscribe, and let's share this content, because this is what they don't want you to hear or know. Let's get right into the content.
Or buts. Look what happened to Ukraine. Ukraine got beat up a couple of days, left, right, and center. Next day, Ukraine agreed to allow 50% of the minerals. President Trump, number 47, is a deal maker. That's his style. With all due respect, he got the votes, and that's his style. Guyana and all the members of United Nations have been asked to assist in many ways. And there are two lists: those who will help and those who will not help. Guyana. In August 2020, when the P.P.P came to power, it was with the help of 45. And as a result of it, the P.P.P leaders know there are 6 Guyanese trained, 2 from A.F.C, 2 from P.P.P, and 2 from PNC. And one of the P.P.P is Mohammed Irfan Ali. So they know the tricks of the trade and all the rules. They will be asked not only to take the bad Guyanese who are convicted, but other nations, irrespective of all the president says, he has no idea what's coming out. He is getting the surface. But bottom line is, Guyana, if it wants to maintain, not make the mistakes that President Granger made, and he made 3 that I know when I was in Kuwait, yes, that they will have to find an accommodation. What I do not know, all the details are being worked out, but yes, Guyana will have not only its own, others. If not, we will be in a sticky wicket. And with elections coming, the P.P.P will be smart to know they will do it quietly, and it might not be known on a need-to-know basis, very quietly in the shadow of the night. Watch that. That's how it's going to happen.
Gosh.
Yes, it's going to happen.
Challenging times ahead, and we know it's happening all over the world. Nigel, we were asking you briefly. Sorry, let me ask the question.
I didn't want to assume your role, but I did want to inquire from Professor Shamir. Given the new dispensation of the administration in the United States of America, and given, like you said, it's going to be particularly transactional, and also the fact that several programs that impact Guyana and other countries have been stopped or terminated. What would your advice be in terms of engaging the U.S. or if you had to advise the foreign minister or the parliamentary subcommittee on foreign affairs, what would your advice be? And I'm so sorry, Kathy, it's just that I didn't want to lose this opportunity immediately after Professor
I'll give 2 answers. 1, continue to send your package, your documentation to the ambassador. Keep a link directly with her, show and tell and plead. I happen to know, because of Guyana's oil riches, Guyana is no longer listed in a poor country. Guyana is listed in a rich country. And the team in thinking that is Guyana, Trinidad, and Jamaica needs to step up for the CARICOM. I am battling that, and I don't have the facts because I'm not in government, but that is the thinking of some people. Let the rich one among them take care of themselves. And you can imagine the rest if that is some of the thinking. How far that will go, only Almighty knows. But Guyana is now rich in millions.
Samsung, keeping us connected no matter where in the world we're located.
We do every printing except fingerprinting. Delta 9 Media is your worldwide leader in custom merchandise. From t-shirts to hoodies, mugs to banners, we deliver top-notch quality to help your brand, business, or event stand out. Stay updated on the latest merchandise and promotions. Follow us on all social media platforms at Delta 9 Media. Call us today at 347-762-6665 and let's bring your vision to life. Delta 9 Media, printing that goes beyond expectations.
News report surfaced that Guyana was considered to be one of the countries accepting African and Asian deportees from the U.S. At first, Ali said he cannot comment because he has not seen the report. Nevertheless, the journalist pressed further, asking again if Guyana will be improved.